serious question, but who has ever said that clowns make them laugh? Surely, more accurate lyrics would be, none make us laugh, all make us cry, clowns do nothing but horrify. And I'm not even talking about spooky, evil clowns either. I mean just like all clowns. In fact, I think the more over-the-top Spookems a clown is, the less scary they actually are. The more departed from reality they are, the more I see them as just a monster, and not for the monstrous clown that they are. And I don't think I'm alone in this sentiment either. And so the question becomes, why? What is it that makes clowns so insufferably grim? The idea of the evil clown is extremely prevalent in the collective consciousness. In 2016, there was a wave of creepy clown sightings. Weirdos would put on clown masks and makeup and costumes in order to pull pranks on unsuspecting people in the UK and the US and Canada and New Zealand and Australia, Croatia, Brazil, Singapore. Nowhere was safe from them. And people were affected. The general public instantly recognised the inherent creepiness of the clowns, leading to terror, violence, and sometimes both.
No matter where you come from, no matter your color, your religion, your creed, no matter who you're voting for, we can all agree on one thing.
The ultimate reason as to why people felt the need to scare others is a bit hard to pin down, but we do know why they decided to do it as clowns. When you think of modern interpretations of clowns, it's hard to think of them as anything but dark and often malicious or creepy. The Joker is a sadistic psychopath. Pennywise the Dancing Clown is a child-eating space alien who's brother to a giant space turtle that carries the Earth on its back. How much cocaine was Stephen King doing? Hell, even Krusty the Clown is a terribly tragic, depressed alcoholic who is at the very least a danger to himself. And when looking for someone to blame for the cultural opinion on clowns, you can only look to the movies, TV, books, and other media that we consume. Other than the three I've just mentioned, what other pop culture clowns are there? Ronald McDonald? The personification of a $130 billion capitalist monstrosity designed to get kids into obese eating habits? Sure. Not terrifying at all. But as art influences life, life influences art, and you can't really have a killer clown conversation without bringing up John Wayne Gacy. So there. I've mentioned him. And now I'm no longer going to talk about him because he was an evil piece of trash and I will in no way honour the terrible things he did. Plus, killer clown media existed long before that giant poo shaped like a human. It's 1894, and here comes Pagliacci. You know Pagliacci. Italian opera about a troupe of actors who are putting on a show that very closely reflects their real-life relationship troubles and ends in a murder. Or, you know, Pagliacci from... Pagliacci is apparently a rip-off of La Femme de Tabarin by Catulle Mendès. I am so sorry to any French speakers, but Pagliacci is the one that people actually know about in modern times, so that's the one I'm gonna be talking about. It centres on a theatre troupe who are putting on a production of Pagliacci, so this synopsis is gonna get confusing. I'm also sorry to all the Italian speakers watching, because there are a lot of Italian names here and I will butcher all of them. Canio, who plays the titular Pagliaccio, which means clown in Italian, is married to Nedda, who plays Pagliaccio's wife, Colombina. Nedda is planning on running away with another man after the end of their next performance, and Canio is made aware of these plans. Unfortunately, the play Pagliacci is about the wife, Colombina, cheating on Pagliacci and running away with another man. During the performance, Canio's mind shifts between reality and play as they perform, culminating in him simultaneously breaking his clown character and also maintaining it as he screams at his wife to tell him who she's cheating on him with. The emotions rise and the music swells as Canio, as Pagliacci, as Canio, grabs a knife and repeatedly stabs his dual wives. But it's not where the troubled and dark clown was born. For that we need to go back yet another 100 years, to the late 1700s, early 1800s, the peak of London in all its glory. You know, one does love the theatre. Opera, Shakespeare, even some of those gaudy musicals from the colonies. I just love the time and appreciation that's put into each and every performance. But you know, I think there is no greater equaliser than that of comedy. And as I look down from my box in the Drury Lane Theatre, one can't help but notice that whether one is sat with myself in the upper echelons of society, or with one of those dirtier ruffians in the balcony or the pit, we are all entranced by the pantomime. Those comedians have us hanging on their every word, and when the punchline lands, oh, my goodness, the crowd's unanimous laughter could shake even the strongest of foundations. And you know, there really was no greater jokester than the magnificent Joseph Grimaldi. I remember the first time I saw him at the panto, clear as day. Here was Klown, one of the 5 central figures of the pantomime, no longer dressed up in tatty commoner clothes as he should be, but instead dressed up in frills and lace and garish colours, and he had these bright, colourful diamonds all over him. And his face, my goodness, it was a work of comical genius. It was exceedingly obvious that his attire was jesting at the, admittedly, rather ludicrous fashions we wore, and I am not without humour, so, needless to say, I was beside myself. Who ever thought that Klown could be so vibrant and engrossing? Well, needless to say, from that point on, he was an agent of chaos. He would begin to tell jokes mid-performance. He would imitate those in the public eye, and, oh, his catchphrase, "Here we go again." Truly, that man knew comedy. But I imagine you've read the newspapers, and that's why you're here. The double-edged sword that is being famous in the early 19th century. Newspapers not leaving you alone, reporting on every aspect of your personal life. Journalists not respecting your privacy. What's that? Why, yes, of course I buy every issue. I have to keep informed. Joseph Grimaldi, or Joseph Grim all day, as the newspapers have taken to calling him, a clown no more, replaced by a feeble man unable to move properly, a bum, a destitute, an alcoholic who has thrown away his riches to feed a depression that is never satiated. His life was tough, I admit. He lost his father at the age of 9 and became the sole source of income for his family. His brother went off to sea and was only seen once more in Grimaldi's life. Why, even his greatest critical and financial success, his performance of Mother Goose, he saw as an absolute failure, becoming depressed and disillusioned by the whole run of shows. It does make one wonder. If a man with so much darkness in him invented the modern clown, in 200 years, how will clowns evolve?
Standing
You know, I never knew why I found clowns so scary until I recently rewatched Killer Klowns From Outer Space, which, ironically, is a film I find hilarious and not scary at all. There are a lot of reasons why general audiences might find them scary. They've been told by horror media to find them so. They're aware of real-life parallels, like the human poo John Wayne Gacy. Or because there is something inherently scary about anybody with a face-obscuring mask or feature. Dr. Ronald... Doctor... well, that's some nominative determinism if I've ever heard it, is quoted in a 2000 article in the Toronto Star as saying, "Kids around 2 or so are very reactive to a familiar body type with an unfamiliar face. It would be no surprise then that this fear is carried with us from a very young age." I have a different thought, however. Young teens are getting hot and heavy, making love and making out on Lover's Lane when a meteor shoots through the night sky. A kooky old coot who, for the longest time, I thought was Bob Kelso, tracks down to where the meteor landed only to find a large circus tent. This is where we get the first real taste of how peculiar happenings are treated in Killer Klowns From Outer Space. If you found a circus tent in the middle of nowhere near your property in the deep woods, you would, understandably, nope the hell out of there. Instead, as if anything in this universe that even relates remotely to clowns could be nothing but positive, the old man gets giddy and wants to go inside. It isn't until his dog disappears that he even starts to think that something is massively wrong. But even then, even after giving the performance of a lifetime, yelling, "I'll tear this thing apart with my bare hands!" and getting shocked by some alien cabling, when one of the, frankly, beautifully monstrous and freakish clowns appears, he smiles, signalling that in this universe, there is nothing inherently scary or wrong with clowns. We then pick up with two of our leads, Debbie Stone and Mike Tobacco. Jesus, everything about this film is so amazingly strange. It's like they just got someone who's never met an American before to pick an American sounding name. Debbie and Mike, two lovers, have left their canoodling spot to also check on the apparent meteor. Debbie, to this point, has had a unique personality in this film that I will explain in a bit, and the uniqueness continues as she reacts with trepidation and panic about a circus tent existing in the middle of nowhere. Meanwhile, Mike Freedom, Rock Flag and Eagle Tobacco is as the old man, giddy about the idea of a circus. That is until Debbie's fears are proven to be logical and justified when they discover people stored inside of large cotton candy cocoons and are chased by the killer clowns. We then meet up with our third lead, Officer Dave Hansen, a very typical 80s sexy-haired, sexy hero boy who just happens to be the ex-boyfriend of Debbie. Seeing how Debbie is with Dave immediately set in my mind what sets her apart from the rest of the cast. Debbie is depressed. From scene 1, all of her reactions have been marred by a sense of unhappiness and disinterest. After quite literally a second of kissing in the first scene, she stops, gently nudges Mike off, and just stares looking blankly up at the sky. She immediately becomes hype over the idea of the meteor and wants to stop the date completely in order to go look for it. Dave even says,
"It's obvious she goes for laughs, not stability."
"Yeah, you're too damn right she does, Dave. That's because she's just looking for a tiny sliver of joy in her life, but unfortunately has realised, perhaps even before the film started, that even being around a constant joker like Mike Tobacco isn't going to bring her actual, true happiness. Because from minute 1, her reactions to Mike Tobacco are just chef's kiss, the absolute best. I could make a montage of all of her fake smiles and laughs to Mike. In fact, I did. She is also the one person in the entire film who at the mere mention of circusry becomes agitated and frightened without having to first see an act of horror or killing. And it is because she is already used to treating something overly happy as negative. There are a number of people who see these lumpy-faced horrors that are the clowns, but all of them treat this very obvious threat as something that should be bringing them joy. There's Puppet Show Boy, who is either 4, 14 or 40. It's very hard to tell by the way he looks and acts. There's the bikers who find the concept of a child or little person in a dark alleyway as something that should be antagonized and something that's hilarious and results in a fantastic death. There's the bus stop full of fully grown adults and senior citizens who love the pageantry of shadow puppets. And then there's my absolute favourite sassy bitch, who I'm pretty sure ordered a pizza but decided to answer the door by going,
"Oh, pizza."
I love her so much. Who answers the door with that much disappointment and snark over something she was expecting? Oh, Amazon. Oh, tax refund. Oh, someone hit the like and subscribe button and also that little bell. You know, you could do. Even the angry bastard cop who treats two goths just hanging out as domestic terrorists finds the clowns non-threatening at first. On top of all that, everything in this universe seems to treat clowns as an integral part of their entertainment. The ice cream truck is called Jojo the Ice Cream Clown and has a giant clown head on top of it. The animatronic outside the hardware store is an ape in a clown costume. And the one fast food joint we're shown is called Big Top and has a clown face printed on literally everything. Even McDonald's knew that this would be a bit too much. But in all of this, here is Debbie. In many ways, she's the one character I identify with the most. She's the one character who seems plucked from our universe and put in this strange one where everyone is happy. See, I'm not a stranger to not being happy. I have pretty extreme depression. I don't hide it when people ask me about it, but I do laugh through it. I do make a lot of jokes. I do use a facade of happiness to cope with the everyday feeling of the void. My depression has become comfortable to me. It's part of who I am. I know how to deal with it, and I treat it as sort of a comfort blanket. To see someone so happy, to have a constant smile, whose entire being is the personification of joyous emotions, is so alien to me, is so foreign, that it deeply unsettles me. At this point in my life, I'm afraid of even the idea that happiness exists without a deep underlying worry or dread, because I wouldn't know how to handle that. I would feel like it wouldn't be real, like it couldn't be possible. I would feel like my facade of being happy would no longer just be a mask for other people, but I would be fooling myself. I would feel like I had become the clown I so greatly fear.